My girlfriend said, "You use money to control my life." I replied, "Then my money stays with me." Then I canceled her cards, stepped off the lease, shut down all transfers, and watched her own restraining order backfire into eviction notices, fraud charges, and a truth she could not spin. Welcome to Family Tales. Today's story is about a man whose girlfriend uses a restraining order to punish him for questioning her spending, only to lose the financial support she depended on. As you listen, think about what you would have done the moment those papers were handed to you. I am 31 years old, and I was served a restraining order on a Thursday afternoon at my workplace. The front desk called me down with a voice that sounded uneasy. In the lobby, a process server was waiting with a thick envelope and a practiced, neutral expression. He checked my name, handed me the papers, and walked away. My girlfriend of 3 years, Leah, who is 28, had filed an emergency protective order against me. According to the documents, I was emotionally and financially abusive. The proof was a set of text messages and an email. One text where I asked, "Hey, didn't you say you couldn't cover your car payment?" after I saw her come home with designer boots, and one email where I suggested we sit down and make a budget together. Her written statement claimed I tracked every purchase, grilled her about money, and created a toxic environment where she feared my reactions. Reality looked a little different. She had 4 credit cards in her name. I was paying them off. Her apartment lease had my name as guarantor because her credit was bad. Her car insurance was under my policy. I had been covering temporary expenses for 2 years straight. But in that lobby, all that mattered was the piece of paper saying I had to stay 100 yards away and have no direct or indirect contact, effective immediately. I did not shout. I did not march to her place. I did not call. I went back upstairs, closed my office door, opened my banking apps, and got to work. Sometimes the most powerful move is not to argue with someone's story, but to quietly change your own behavior. Within an hour, all 4 credit card payments stopped. They were her cards, not joint accounts. I had been paying by choice, not obligation. The banks were notified. Automatic payments canceled. I called my insurance company and removed her as an authorized driver on my policy. Then I called her apartment complex. I was not a tenant, just the guarantor. The property manager, Carla, pulled up the file. "If you step down as guarantor," she said, "she will have 30 days to qualify on her own or find a new guarantor. After that, she risks eviction." "That is acceptable," I said. "Please start the 30-day clock." I stopped every automatic transfer I had set up for her, just until she catches up. I changed the passwords on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and every streaming service. I scheduled her phone line to be removed from my family plan on the next billing cycle. I saved every confirmation email to a personal folder and then went to my 3 o'clock client meeting. I delivered my presentation, answered questions, and closed the deal. On the outside, nothing had changed. On the inside, everything had. That night, my phone was silent. Completely silent. The restraining order did not just block me from contacting her. It blocked her from contacting me. For the first time in years, there were no texts asking for a little extra this month or, "Can you cover this and I will pay you back later." Saturday morning at 8, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Carter," a man said. "My name is Daniel Kessler. I represent Miss Leah Monroe. I believe there has been a misunderstanding with the protective order." "What misunderstanding?" I asked. "My client has encountered significant issues. Several of her financial accounts have been closed. She is unable to access essential funds. We understand you have canceled payments on her credit cards." "I stopped making voluntary payments on her cards," I said. "They are in her name. I am not obligated to pay them." "Yes, but she depended on those payments," he replied. "Then she should have considered that before filing a restraining order claiming my financial involvement was abusive," I said. There was a pause. "Surely we can find a solution," he tried again. My client is open to amending the order to allow contact for financial discussions. This is a no-contact order, I said. I am fully complying. No contact includes no financial relationship. She said my involvement was abuse. I am removing myself from the situation completely. That is safer for both of us. He mumbled something about bad faith and retaliation. Daniel, I said, she filed legal documents saying I am abusive. I am honoring her wish to be protected from me and my money. Enjoy your weekend. I hung up. This is where a lot of people fold. They feel guilty and go back to paying, even after being painted as the villain. 20 minutes later, the barrage started, not from her directly, from her friends. Texts from numbers I did not have saved. Long paragraphs about how I was leaving her in a crisis, how I was proving her point, how real men step up even when things are hard. I did not reply. I took screenshots and sent them to my lawyer, Robert, whom I hired that afternoon. Third-party contact on behalf of someone under a restraining order is still contact. Monday morning, Daniel sent a formal email. He demanded that I resume financial support during this transition period and accused me of financial abuse for withdrawing help so suddenly. My reply was short. Per the restraining order, I cannot have any personal or financial relationship with Miss Monroe. Providing financial support would constitute such a relationship. Please advise your client that I am fully complying with the court order. Then the social media campaign began. Leia's best friend, Mia, posted on Instagram, "When toxic men use money to control women after being called out for abuse." Financial abuse is real. Narcissistic men always show their true colors. But Mia made a mistake. She posted screenshots of Leia's texts to her as proof. In those messages, Leia wrote, "He canceled everything. I cannot even watch Hulu. I told you the restraining order would make him notice, but now he will not pay my cards. The lawyer says he is not legally obligated, so he can just stop. This backfired hard." Someone sent me the screenshots. I forwarded them to Robert. When people tell on themselves, you do not need to shout over them. You just save the evidence. On Tuesday evening, Carla from the apartment complex called. "Mr. Carter, I am required to inform you that Miss Monroe has not provided new qualifications or a replacement guarantor. She has 23 days left before your guarantee ends." "Please confirm it ends as scheduled," I said. "It does," she replied, "but there is something else. She came in today with her mother. There was an incident." "What kind of incident?" I asked. "Her mother, Mrs. Monroe, attempted to sign a renewal form with your name," Carla said. "We have your signature on file and cameras in the office. It was clearly forged. We have referred the matter to our legal team and local police." I thanked her and hung up. Robert was almost cheerful when I told him. Between the restraining order, the social media posts, and now forgery, a pattern was starting to appear. Patterns like this rarely start with you. They usually have a long trail behind them. Soon after, Leia's mother Deanne found another angle. She messaged me on LinkedIn, thinking a professional platform might not count. "James, this is absurd," she wrote. "You and Leia had a minor disagreement and now you are ruining her life. Step up and fix this." I did not respond. I took a screenshot. The police investigation into the forgery did not stay small. It turned out that Deanne had not just tried to forge my name on the lease guarantee. She had also tried to add herself to my car insurance as Leia's guardian, even though Leia is 28, and attempted to open a credit card in my name. That last part turned it into an identity theft case. Meanwhile, Leia's financial situation was collapsing. Her car was repossessed. Not because of anything I did directly, but because she had not paid in months. My transfers had been covering the missed payments. Without them, the lender finally sent the tow truck. Mia wrote another post about it, accusing me of taking Leia's car. A stranger in the comments asked a simple question. If he took her car, that means it was his money paying for it in the first place. How is stopping payments abuse? The post disappeared soon after. Leia's credit cards hit their limits. In 3 days, she maxed them out trying to panic spend before the consequences caught up. That bought her almost no time. At that point, Daniel called me again. "Mr. Carter, my client is willing to drop the restraining order," he said. "If you consent, we can file for mutual dissolution." "I do not consent," I said. There was a long pause. "You do not want the order dropped?" he asked. "The order protects her from me, right?" I said. "I would hate to make her feel unsafe. It should stay in place." "She is going to be evicted," he said. "That is unfortunate," I replied, "but I cannot be involved in her housing. That would violate the order." He hung up. Sometimes enthusiastic compliance is the clearest mirror you can hold up to someone's choices. The forgery charges became official. Deanne was arrested at her Pilates class. Court records later showed she had been trying to manipulate multiple financial documents connected to me. Leia said she knew nothing, but subpoenaed text said otherwise. "Mom, just sign it. He will not notice. His signature is simple. I have seen it 100 times. If you fix the insurance, I can get my car back." That was in writing. Daniel withdrew as her lawyer after that. Being that close to identity theft talk was a line he did not want to cross. Her new lawyer, Tom, sent a letter demanding emergency financial support because Leia was in dire circumstances. Robert's response was simple. "Our client notes that requesting financial support from a man Miss Monroe claims is abusive would endanger her. We cannot in good faith facilitate that risk." Around that time, I quietly started living my own life again. I took the money I had been spending on her each month and signed up for a baking class. I bought a high-end coffee maker for myself. I increased my retirement contributions. For the first time in years, my bank account reflected my own needs and plans. Leia tried another route. She launched a crowdfunding campaign titled "Help a DV Survivor Escape Financial Abuse." Her story painted me as a controlling ex who cut her off because she stood up to me. She asked for help with housing, a car, and basics. In 3 days, she raised $73. Then someone, not me, posted screenshots of her past year on social media in the comments. Designer bags, luxury dinners, spa days, all captioned with things like, "Grateful for a man who treats me right," and "when he surprises you with Gucci." The platform reviewed the campaign and shut it down for fraud. One person I did choose to pick up the phone for was her father, Richard. He called me out of the blue. "James, it is Richard, Leia's dad," he said. "I just wanted to apologize." "For what?" I asked. "For her," he said simply, "and for what you are going through." I went through the same thing with her mother. False accusations, restraining orders, financial games, forgery. It is the same script. You are doing the right thing. Do not give in. They escalate until you stop reacting, then they find a new target. He was right about the escalation. Leia called my mother next. My mom, Maria, told me about it later, half amused, half annoyed. She said she did not mean the restraining order, my mom told me. She said it was a misunderstanding and that you are being cruel by not helping her now. "What did you say?" I asked. "I told her you do not talk to people who swear under oath that you are abusive, then decide they did not mean it," my mom said. "I told her I know my son, and he was being controlling by paying all her bills, so clearly she needed freedom." Leia hung up on my mother. On day 24 of the guarantor window, Leia tried to show up at my office. Security called me. I had already given them a copy of the restraining order and her photo. They stopped her at the entrance. She cried, shouted about how I was ruining her life, said she just wanted to talk. Security refused to let her through and called the police. She was arrested for violating her own restraining order. She spent the night in jail. Deanne bailed her out the next morning and decided to handle things in the loudest way she knew how. She held an impromptu press conference on the courthouse steps. 3 local reporters showed up, probably expecting a slow story. Deanne talked about financial abuse and men using money to control women. She tried to position herself and her daughter as examples. One reporter asked, "Ma'am, are you not under indictment for forgery and identity theft related to this same man?" "That is irrelevant," she snapped. "You allegedly forged his signature to access credit and insurance," the reporter said. "How is that different from financial abuse?" "I was protecting my daughter," she said. The clip never made it to television, but it stayed online. Legal blogs and forums shared it as an example of how not to handle public relations during a criminal case. Carla called me again not long after. "Miss Monroe has been formally evicted," she said. "She has 48 hours to vacate. Every application she has filed for new housing was denied after credit and background checks." I thanked her and wished her a calm week. In the end, the conclusion felt quieter than the chaos that led up to it. Leah moved in with Deanne, who was out on bail, in a small one-bedroom apartment in a rough area. The lifestyle she had once mocked as beneath her became her daily reality. The restraining order stayed in place. Leah tried to get it dismissed, but the judge looked at her violation arrest and kept it active, saying it served both parties. Her lawyer, Tom, made one last attempt. "Mr. Carter," he said in a letter, "Miss Monroe is willing to sign a document admitting that some of the abuse claims were exaggerated if you agree to provide 6 months of financial support for her rehabilitation." "Rehabilitation from what?" I asked Robert. "Tom calls it financial adjustment distress," Robert said. "You can tell him she is not the only person on earth who had to adjust a lifestyle," I said. "The answer is no." Later, I ran into Mia in a grocery store. She tried to duck into another aisle, but we made eye contact. "How is Leah?" I asked. "She is working retail and living with her mom," Mia said. "She really cared about you, you know. She was just scared when you questioned her spending." "Scared enough to file false abuse claims," I said. "That was Deanne's idea, right? File the order so I would panic, back down, and keep paying." Mia winced. "Yeah," she said quietly. "It sounds bad when you put it like that." "How else would you put it?" I asked. She did not have an answer. Last I heard, Deanne pled guilty to forgery and identity theft. She got probation and community service. Leah's credit score dropped into the low 400s. She is dating someone new and, according to Richard, already asking him to help with bills. The restraining order has 9 months left. I plan to let it expire on its own and keep my distance either way. As for me, I took the $3,500 a month I was bleeding into Leah's life and turned it inward. I boosted my retirement savings. I built a proper investment portfolio. I bought that coffee maker I had always said was too much for myself. I took the baking class and discovered I actually like making sourdough from scratch. Life got very quiet, and then it got very peaceful. The restraining order she weaponized to control me became the cleanest break I could have asked for. No guilt, no arguments, no going back and forth. Just a court order that made my boundaries non-negotiable. Here are the lessons I took from all of this. Lesson 1. If someone files legal documents calling your support abuse, believe them and step out of their life completely, including financially. Lesson 2. You are not obligated to keep funding someone who lies about you to courts, friends, or the internet. Protecting yourself is not cruelty. Lesson 3. When people escalate with lies, forgery, and public smears, they are showing a pattern that existed long before you. You do not have to fix it. Lesson 4. Enthusiastic compliance can be a powerful response to manipulation. If they demand distance, give it fully, not halfway. Lesson 5. Consequences are not abuse. Losing access to money, housing, and comfort because of your own choices is painful, but it is not something someone else owes you to prevent. Lesson 6. Real care in relationships is mutual and transparent. If one person is secretly carrying all the financial risk, that is not love. That is a liability. What about you? If your partner filed a restraining order against you over a budgeting email and then expected your money to keep flowing, what would you do? And have you ever stayed in a situation where your support was taken for granted until you finally stepped back and saw how much you were losing? not just in money, but in peace.